Karen, welcome again, and I'll leave this to you from here
All
onward.
right, thank you very much. It's really a pleasure to be here. I'm going to share my screen now, and like everyone else who's working from home, we're all trying to figure this stuff out, right?
Okay.
So, yeah.
so throughout we might have some polls for attendance, so we will share them after. So please attend these polls. We get very interesting results.
Okay. And here we go. Come on. There we go. Okay, so the title of my session here is called Managing Chaos Inside of the Crisis. So we all are dealing with this crazy crisis right now, but there is a way to manage through all this. And hopefully today I'll be able to share some good information with you that'll help. Okay, so today what I'm going to talk about is leadership and policies. So in the area of leadership, what kind of messaging are you sending your employees? Is it clear? Is it consistent? Is it timely? Is your leadership team fully engaged? So the people that report to the top person, do they have the tools they need to effectively lead during this time of uncertainty? And have you considered the impact to your company culture now and after this crisis is over? In the area of policies, you may not have a formal human resource policy on working remotely. So what do you do right now? Sometimes having basic guidelines or a simple checklist may be an effective solution. We're all just trying to figure it out, right? Knowing who to partner with inside of your organization to pull something together in place quickly and build off of it for later. I'm going to go through my slides. There'll be some Q&A, questions and answers at the end. And as Alp mentioned, there'll be a couple of polls in between. And then there's details in my backup that I will provide to you so that you'll have them to help you after this session. Okay, so why should you listen to me? There are so many people out there today, if you look at LinkedIn or anywhere else, that are telling you what you should do. I've had over 30 years experience in human resources in areas of compliance, employee relations, compensation, and transformation. I also left HR for a while and worked as a line manager. So I know your pain. I know what it's like to manage people, to manage finances, and try to run a business and then work through all this human resource stuff. I'm a black belt in Lean Six Sigma, so I know how to solve problems and think about things logically with facts. I've harmonized several global policies, including one on working virtually for a Fortune 500 company that was 59 countries pulled together. I've managed remote teams in multiple countries in Asia, Latin America, Europe, and North America. I've been a panelist and a keynote speaker on the topic of remote work at several conferences, and I was interviewed by the Atlantic magazine and others. I've actually hosted virtual holiday parties and happy hours, so there's a bright side and a fun side to all of this that you might even be able to extend to your personal life. So hopefully we'll have a couple smiles during this as well.
Awesome.
Okay. All right, here's some fun. Which one of these can you relate to? You're all working from home. Are you content over here in the window? Is your cat sitting on your laptop? Are you just completely stressed out? Are you having children come in and take over your workspace? What are you dealing with at home? Everybody is struggling right now, trying to figure out how to get work done. And if you're leading a company and you're trying to manage people, it's just a bit of a challenging time. Okay, so let's talk about communications. I picked this graphic. I don't know if in other countries you did this as children, but We used to do this thing with cans and string, and you pretended to talk to each other like telephones. I thought it was a great example of social distancing. But in communications, this is an opportunity for companies right now to strengthen your culture and display great leadership. If you've looked at any videos of different government leaders, different company leaders, some of them are doing an amazing job and others are confusing the heck out of everybody. Make sure when you put a communication together, you put the well-being of your employees and customers first. You have to acknowledge we're all trying to figure this out. And your employees in particular right now, everybody is worried about their health, their safety, and that should be number one. And if you take care of your people, you take care of your customers, this is not new information, they will support the company. So you need to acknowledge your customers' needs and remember that the people that report to the leadership are also struggling too. So they're looking for those top leaders to say, what do we do? What do we say right now? Okay. Just bear with me a second here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so your employees have lots of questions right now. First one is, what do I do if I don't have the appropriate setup or internet capacity? You want to make sure you quickly bring together your IT, your information technology people, and your finance people to say, what can we do? Some people have never really worked from home, and they're going to struggle if they don't have enough bandwidth. I actually saw the head of AT&T on CNN yesterday, and he was talking about that it's right now, as you can imagine, the capacity is completely maxed out with all the people working from home, streaming Netflix, whatever they're doing to keep their sanity and keep working. So you want to make sure your employees have what they need. And it may require a little investment from finance to say, don't worry, we're going to help pay your internet bill so that you can keep working. What tools do I need to work from home? So people may need to make sure they have the right equipment. Do they have a laptop? Do they have the right phone, the right chair, the right monitor? What is it they need? Printers. And you want to probably have a little checklist somewhere to make sure you know who took what home. I was actually working in a company very recently in a consulting capacity while all this craziness was going on, and people were walking out the door with computers and monitors, and nobody was really figuring out who's taking what home. And I thought, I hope they all bring that stuff back, or maybe they're going to work from home from here on out. Who knows? But you want to try to keep track of this stuff. And it may be it's already happened. So reach out to your employees and say, can you let me know the inventory of what you've brought home? Once IT is engaged, ensure you have some good collaboration tools set up. Could be as simple as instant messaging, email, but it really helps, just like today, to have a video capability. People feel much more connected when they can see each other. So you may have Zoom already, like this tool. You may have WebEx or Slack or other tools that'll help people stay connected. They may also, as people working from home, need to make an effort to stay more engaged. Sometimes when people work from home, they isolate, and you want to encourage people to reach out. Call people, message people, how are you doing? That will help keep them engaged with you and their company and their teammates. Remember, this may be new to some people. They need clear instructions. How do I download Zoom? What's this instant messaging thing? I've never used it before. I think in this day and age, a lot of people have, but don't underestimate some people have no clue how to do this stuff. And then when it comes to what should I be working on, people may need some help prioritizing what's most important. So help them, give them some guidance. I like to say that when you are working from home, it's not really that different from people being in the office with you. They all need the same stuff in the office that they do at home. So if you keep calm and think of that, very commonsensical, you'll be okay. Okay, let me scoot to the next slide here. Okay, impact on culture. I don't know if any of you have been through challenging times before, but employees always remember how they were treated during times of crisis. I can tell you that 20 some years ago, I was working at Xerox and we were going through a really rough time. Our stock price was way down, things were terrible with the economy, and I'll never forget our CEO at the time, Ann Mulcahy, put a video out. It was a meeting with a video, which was a big deal 20 years ago. And we were all looking at her in the face. The screen was completely filled with her face. And she looked at everyone and said, I need your help. And I still get chills when I think of it. And it was like, oh, I'm in. I'm going to help. And we turned the company around. People remember that to this day. What are you doing to make an impact, to make people remember how they feel? Everybody wants to have a job when all of this is over. They don't want to struggle and think, oh my God, my leader doesn't know what they're doing. You have to help them. Also, pull on the creativity of your employees.
Erin, did that take place when for the entire company or a select group, that communication with the CEO?
It went for the whole company.
And it was on at Xerox?
Yes.
Okay. So it's a great show of, at the same time, vulnerability, which actually pulled the company higher.
That is true. That's absolutely true.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
She made it very relatable for everyone. Okay. One of the other things you want to do is pull on the creativity of your employees. I've seen so many great examples of people making their own face masks or figuring out how to reuse certain things or get work done in more creative ways. Think about your employees have a lot of smart ideas. Pull on them and then they'll be more engaged in what's going on. They'll own it when all of this is done. They will also feel better about making a difference. So keep that in mind as you're working with your employees. Have you considered what the impact to your company culture is now and after the crisis is over? Every company needs a disaster recovery plan. Sometimes they're called business continuity plans. Some companies already have this in place. This crisis came in and they said, put the plan in, guys. And people knew what equipment to bring home. They had a list of customers to contact, but you may not have done that. So right now people are scrambling to figure this out. But when all is said and done, you're going to have a lot of good lessons learned from this. Pull your employees together, pull your management team together, and try to put something together. So whether it's a political issue, the weather, I've worked through hurricanes in my company before. You need to have a plan in place so that your business keeps going, because something inevitably will happen again. And you'll also find that employees can be quite productive working from home. Okay.
We just had a poll today, like for the last 1 week, everyone is working from home. And in the morning, we had a session if they are feeling productive. And 80%, actually 81% felt more productive already.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, I know you also did another poll, Alp, while I was chatting about policies. Did you get answers to the poll of how
Tamer, yeah, I'm not co-host because of audio issues. Tamer, can you show the poll results for remote work policies? No. So 63% says they don't have remote work policy, and 38% says they don't. 37% says they do have. So it's like 2 in 3 companies, they don't have remote work policy.
Okay.
More or less.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and that's not
what
that.
do you think? Like, how is it compared to US?
I think it's probably not that different, believe it or not. I think there may be, you may call it a business continuity plan. I don't know how well thought out it is, but I'm going to take you through some other considerations from working remotely that I think a lot of people don't think about. And I have all of the bruises from doing this.
Okay.
I was putting the policy together for Xerox. I like to say it was like herding cats. So what are you doing? How are you doing it? And everyone was doing it differently around the world. Some were paying their employees a stipend or a monthly amount of money to help pay for internet and printing paper and stuff.
Perfect.
Some were...
We love bruises, Karen. We love
yes.
with scars, right?
Exactly. And what I found was everybody had a way of doing it, but it was so different. And what I like to do, again, this is my Lean Six Sigma coming in, is put the variation inside of the process. So have an overarching policy, and inside of it, obviously, your labor laws are going to dictate certain things you have to do. So that's where the variation comes. But we try to keep it very simple. I like to take things to a level of just simplicity. And right now, that's what we need. Let's not overcomplicate this thing. We've got a lot to get through. There's a lot bigger problems in the world than this, right? Yeah. So a simple checklist with basic guidelines may be great. Knowing who to partner with. Who do I need to reach out my organization to help me do this right now, and then build off of it for later? Because if 81% of people are saying they're productive, you may want to digest that a minute and say, you know what, maybe when all this is over, we want to give more people the option to work remotely, or maybe some people do permanently. I don't know, but you want to learn from all of this. And you want to have a really good policy in place regardless. As I said, it doesn't matter where you live. I happen to live in an area where we get lots of snow, blizzards, right? All of a sudden we have 6 feet, whatever that translates into in meters, lots of snow, and you can't drive. So what do? You work from home. Like I mentioned before, I used to work in HR operations, and here's a perfect example. We had a hurricane. There was a couple of years ago, we got hit with a number of hurricanes in the United States. It hit Florida, it hit Texas, New York even. And we had a team come together immediately and say, what do we got to do? Think about things like your employees may not have a home. Are you still going to pay them? What if you have a supply site of your equipment that you're selling to customers that got flooded? What are you going to do? How are you going to alert your customers? Do you have a list of all your employees so that you know they're safe? And God forbid someone passes away or dies, how do you get in touch with their significant other? Do you have their emergency contacts? I know that's extreme, but it happens.
So Karen, a quick question.
Another example of having that together.
So a quick question here. The one, like, is there such quick checklist that you would like to share? And second, when we are talking about such emergency plans or making guidelines, what type of expertise do we need on board for such a team?
I'm going to take you through that. Thank you for being my straight man.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to take you through And as I mentioned earlier, my backup slides have all these details. So you'll have this at your disposal to help you in your company. So these are the people you want. You want human resources, thinking through what I was just talking about. And I'm going to go through each of these functions and tell you why you need them. Information technology, finance, safety, security, and legal. That ideally covers all your bases. You may be a small company and not have all of that stuff. Another area when you get to the point of after the crisis and want to implement a real policy is if you have a real estate group. Find, for example, that 50% of your people after all this end up working from home. You may not need to pay leases on certain buildings if you have a bunch and say, maybe we just need one instead of 5 and save a ton of money that way as well. So there's different ways of thinking about how you manage this. When I was putting this together for Xerox, the global policy, that was the intent, was can we close more facilities? And we saved so much money. People were happier. They were saving money, not having to commute, getting all dressed up for work. And it was a win-win.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What do you need to think about for human resources? And as I mentioned before, use your common sense. Just about any rule that you apply for office workers applies for remote workers. But it's more important now. Set objectives that are clear expectations and put it in writing. I expect by the end of the week, Karen, that you get these 5 things done. And here's how I'm going to measure that. Having measurable objectives, again, really good management practice, regardless of this crisis or not. Have regular one-on-one meetings with your employees, especially now, right? Whether it's every morning I pull the team together for a half an hour, or I may have 10 people on my team. So Monday I'm going to do Joe and Sally, and Tuesday I'm going to do Alp and Karen, right? So get the one-on-ones on the calendar to make sure you're keeping engaged with your people and they're not getting confused on what they're supposed to be working on or struggling with at home. If your employee is a performance issue, so I would tell you, if we weren't dealing with this crisis and you said, I want to put a remote policy out there, if you've got someone that doesn't come to work all of the time, they're not doing a great job, and maybe you have them on a formal performance feedback plan to say, gee, Karen, you need to do better. Those people you want to keep a closer watch on, just like you would if they were in the office. I want to check in with you every day, Karen, because you haven't done a good job bringing your process together, whatever it is. Let's see here. As long as the employee works for the required time each day, be flexible with the hours they're working. What I've heard so much right now, especially people with small children, is they're struggling. I need to shut the door. My husband takes the kids for 2 hours. Then I work for 2 hours. Then he works for 2 hours, whatever it is. Normally, again, in normal times, when you work remotely, that doesn't mean you're home babysitting, right? That's not working remotely. But right now, everybody is in this crisis. Kids aren't going to school. The schools are closed, or they're doing classes on the computer like we are with their teachers. Yes. So give them some flexibility. Perhaps they have to work 8 hours in a day. Okay, so maybe they work from 8 to 11 in the morning and then from 2 to 7 in the afternoon. That's still 8 hours. They get their work in, but they spend the 3 hours in the afternoon preparing lunch, giving their husband a break, whatever it is. Make sure nobody's violating policies. This is a hard one, but you don't want people doing things that are inappropriate. Again, whether they're in the office or at home. Are they doing a video chat with their customers and drinking all afternoon? I don't know. Something that's just not right. You don't want that to happen. And you want to reinforce that with your employees. Say, guys, you're home, but that doesn't mean, all the rules are forgotten. You're still at work. You're just in a different location. And then employees still need to report if they can't work. So let's say they're home, their kids are there, their kid is sick, or they get sick, or they have a bunch of doctor's appointments. They still need to say, hey, Alp, I'm not going to work today. I need to have the day off from work because I'm doing something else on my personal side. Okay?
Yeah.
Safety and security. So let's talk about security for a minute. We always ask people, do you have a spot to work that's safe and secure? Minimal distractions. Ideally, having a door is helpful. This isn't just about being able to concentrate, right? You may have confidential information you're working on. You've got data that you're looking at that's customer data. And I know in Europe, it's a huge deal when we're talking about safe harbor and confidentiality of employee data. It's the same thing at home. So don't be sitting out on the deck with all your paperwork and your kids come and rip it up, or your neighbor pops over, whatever it is. You want to keep it secure. Then there's safety. Do we have cords all over the place? Because if an employee trips and gets hurt and they're working, that's your problem. So you want to tell people, make sure you have a safe place. You're not plugging 400 plugs into one outlet. That's not good. The other thing is, like I mentioned before, do you have the employee's actual location? Do you know their home address? And while I understand there may be some concerns about that, your human resources people should have that. Because if something happens, you want to make sure you know where your employees are. Again, whether it's this crisis or down the road, a hurricane hits or something, do you have the knowledge of where they're supposed to be? And do you have their emergency contact? I don't want to get dramatic, but if somebody passes away who is your employee that gets the coronavirus, and you have beneficiaries for those employees, do you have that information so that you can help? It's already a crisis for these people individually. Can you help them get the information they need to plan the funeral or whatever is needed? So that's really important to have. The other thing you want to have in mind is ergonomic needs. So where I'm sitting today, I'm in my chair. My feet are flat on the ground. There's a lot of stuff out there about this, by the way, but make sure you're checking with your employees on it. You want your elbows to be square with your keyboard. Ideally, it's better to have a keyboard than just a laptop, because you can keep that at the height of your elbows. You should be looking at your monitor, your screen straight on. You shouldn't be going up like this or down like this with your laptop. You're going to get stress in your neck. And if you have, whether you're sitting like this or you're sitting at a laptop, get up once in a while, walk around, stretch, because you're going to get physical issues that nobody needs right now.
Okay, let me just change the position now. Thanks for this reminder.
I'm sorry?
Okay, I just had to change my position. Thanks for this reminder.
Yes. Get up and walk around, Alp. You got to get up once in a while. But don't keep going to the refrigerator. I keep hearing people saying they're gaining more weight than they ever have.
We had this in the morning session. Gonzalo already told people about the daily habits and how they should work out and everything.
Good. It's important. And even though you need to keep your distance, get outside, get some fresh air. Sun's out. Everybody still needs the sun, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Still not official quarantine here neither.
3 more areas to talk about, and then we'll get into Q&A. So operational considerations, your business, right? You're the leader. Do your customers have the information to know how they're going to reach out to you, how to connect with you, how to get your services, how to get your goods? Do they know that an employee may contact them a different way? At this point in time, at least where I live, because I'm in New York State in the USA, everybody is in what we call shelter in place. That means unless you're working at the hospital or the grocery store or some other vital area, you are home. So everybody kind of knows whether you're the customer or the employee, you're home. But for example, I don't know if you have these in Europe, but like the home improvement stores like Home Depot or Lowe's, you may or may not have these, but maybe you have some other version. They're open, but for limited hours. And they're trying to ask people to order online and pick up at the curb versus coming into the store. Have you told your customers this? This is for their sake and the employee's sake, to keep that distance, keep your business going, give people what they need, but you got to get those communications out. They need to know the times and how they might be contacted. And as I mentioned before, keeping engaged with your employees, make sure you're helping them prioritize their work. I can't stress that enough. People are, when I showed that slide earlier with people going like this, what am I doing? Papers all over their desk. They need help. Work on these 3 things today, Karen. This is the most critical stuff I need you to work on right now. Help guide them. Some people are more self-motivated than others. Others are very confused by this whole situation and stressed out, like most people are right now. Back to IT and finance, we talked about having the tools for the job. They might need to have a VPN, so they're dealing with private data. Do they have that secure network, that secure connection? Do they have the bandwidth to handle that extra software? What about supplies? I have to print out stuff all the time. Are you going to pay me for the printer and the paper and the cartridges, or how are we doing this? So you have to think through those things. And then when you get to the legal part, what I found when I was doing the global policy is some countries, it's a requirement that you reimburse people for those things, or that you pay them up front, or put it in some countries I had to actually increase people's base pay and incorporate. So if it was $60 a month to cover the costs of the internet, the paper, whatever it is, we increased their salary by that much to cover it. And, there's different things you have to think about. I don't know about in your world, but in my world, every day, literally every day, our governor for New York State gets on TV and he says, I'm changing the law today. Here's what's happening. All businesses are going to work from home. You shouldn't be doing this. You can do that. You want to keep in touch with that. Make sure your employees are aware. And if you have a legal department, pull on them, because I assure you, they are looking at all this stuff every day. And when all this is over, what is it going to look like? I don't know, but you want to have partnership there, whether it's in your company or you have an external legal source that you work with. And now I can take a breath and ask you if you have any questions.
Okay, so this is perfect. Do we have so now we finished the policies part, right?
Yes, I'm all set with my presentation.
Okay, perfect. So Tamer, can we share the poll results with everyone? Both of them. So more than 3. So 75% says more than 3
Okay.
communications have been sent. So I suppose that's good.
Well, you know what, Alp? Let me just comment on that.
Yeah.
It could be, depends what it says. So I've seen examples, and I was mentioning this to Alp when he and I were first talking. And I don't know if you have this company in Europe, it's called Best Buy. And what they do is they have laptops and equipment like that. They have refrigerators, home appliances, and their CEO has sent out, bar none, the best communications I've seen. I got another one yesterday because I happen to be a customer. Very clear, one page. Here's what we're doing. I'm caring for my employees. I'm caring for my customers. I know everybody needs this technology at home right now. We want to make sure you have it, but my employees' safety is really important. So you can go to the curb and pick up. Our employees will bring it to you. We will not install at homes right now. I'm sure you understand. And if our employees aren't comfortable coming into work right now, I will still pay them. They will be home. Now, not every business can afford that. So I've seen this guy send out 2 or 3 communications that were spot on. Then I've seen other companies. I do a lot of shopping, I admit it. So I get all these emails from these places I shop. Well, we're going to shut down. No, we're not going to shut down. Well, we're just going to have a few hours. It's all over the place. And I'm like, what are you doing? So if I'm a customer, I can just delete the email. If I'm an employee, I'm confused. So think about what you're putting in there. Get your team together, your senior teams. What do people need to know right now? Keep it simple. Once again, simple is important right now. What is the most important thing my employees need to know and my customers need to know? And has anything changed because the government is saying I can't be open right now, perhaps? Not sure.
And Karen, do you have, so you mentioned, like requirements from HR, IT, legal team. So during those catastrophic events, like, do you need any, either for policies or for execution, do you need any external help or external talent in general?
Sometimes we had to partner with law enforcement, specifically for the hurricane event. And that's where we had a really excellent corporate security group that were very well connected with law enforcement all across the country. And sometimes there were areas that we had to go to, these skilled workers that had to go into these horrible places and rescue people and understand what we can and can't do. So you had to work with either the government officials or the law enforcement. That was very important to have help with. Trying to think what else. Mostly it was internal, working with the customers and the employees to make sure we knew everybody was safe and got what they needed. But the HR piece was probably the biggest, because people were very concerned about, am I going to get paid? I don't even have my home anymore. I don't know what to do, and I don't want to be worried about being paid. So what do? You need to pull that together quickly.
So one question here, like, how do you, it came, one of the attendants, Ayşe Özdemir. So is there a work accident? So in remote working, when you have work accident, so how do you decide if it's a work accident or not? Or it's work accident because it's in working hours, or how do you know it's working hours?
It's a very good question. So when we put our policy together, obviously it wasn't during the coronavirus. It was normal times. And what we put in our policy is, if it's during your working hours and you are working and you have an accident, then it's a combination of, workers' compensation and possibly their homeowner's policy, depending on what happened. It's complicated for sure. And I can't even remember a situation where it happened, to be honest with you. We just needed to have that safety net in our policy because you are working from home. And I'll tell you another part that got really weird was some of this was just learning on the fly. That's why I say I have the bruises and scars. I said, well, why couldn't the manager just go to the employee's home and make sure it's all set up right? And I was like, all of a sudden now you have, it could be a female employee with a male manager and they're alone together. Is there any sexual harassment concern going on? And we vetted all of that and said, you know what we'll do is we put a video together that was a safety training video. Very simple. Here's how you set up your home. Here's the safety parts. Remember the confidential data. And it was a requirement for any employee working from home to view that first. And we tracked it through the technology that they actually went through the training. Check the box. Yep, they did the training, so they know what they're supposed to do. So that was part of our legal, safety net. So we could say, we told you what to do and you didn't do it. Or it could be something worse than that. It really depends on what happens. But that, as well as the ergonomic help, we had a lot of, we call them brain sharks. Do you guys do brain sharks?
What is that?
It's like an online training, basically, with videos and it teaches you stuff. So we had a bunch of them, and one of them was on setting up your home office. One was on the safety and security. We had ones for managers. How do I manage remote teams? We had probably 5 or 6 different little trainings to help people. Again, perfect world. We're not there right now. So what I'm trying to do is at least give you the basics so that you can help yourself and help your companies and your employees. But when all's said and done, there's other ways that you can approach this to keep your company safe and secure as well as your employees.
Okay. So there is about the checklisting, anything like maybe a one pager or something you can share for a checklist. One of our attendants are curious to and asking.
I can put something together other than what I have in the presentation and my backup.
Yeah, that would maybe help. Our team is working on a summary. And they are we can share it afterwards. Expertera and the 4C1H team, they are working together. So okay, another question. We still have some time, right? Yeah,
sure.
Just okay. So this comes from a marketing manager, Ezgi Kılıç. So as you already know, companies cut their marketing budgets as one of the first things, and because they don't feel it's the priority. Mm-hmm. So she's asking, how can we motivate our teams and marketing teams, and so that we can help companies in times of crisis? What do you think are the best ways?
Well, it's interesting. Usually, again, depending on how the companies are set up, a lot of times marketing has really, really excellent communications people. So if I go back to that communication from the CEO at Best Buy, while it was really a strong communication for the employees and making them feel better, it was really well written for the customer. I can tell you as a customer, I feel like, wow, I'm totally going to go back to Best Buy when this is all over. And when I need to get a new laptop, I'm going there because they know what they're doing. And so if you think of it that way, partner with your leadership to get the right messaging out there, because part of it is, again, maybe it's me personally, we're all different consumers. I get an email every day from some of these places I shop, and I'm thinking, my God, this is not my priority. How are you putting it together to say, we want you to still feel good? So one of the other examples I'll give you is I have this one woman that I buy clothes from. She has a clothing shop in Denver, Colorado. She's putting a video out every day, and her shop is closed. Buying clothes right now is not a priority, but she's helping people with a 1-minute video every day to say, let's not forget about our style. Maybe it's a great idea to clean your closets. Let me help you do this. Oh, by the way, if you need anything, I can ship it to you. So she's helping people be productive at home, clean out their clutter, and doing good business. And I'm like,
okay.
Go.
So you're saying communication is the best weapon that marketing team has. So utilize it at its best. So coming to that, you mentioned about a best practice again on communication from Best Buy CEO when we talked on the phone. Would you like to mention that or elaborate on that, especially like the message that can be given? Do you think that would be good?
Yeah, I think I still even have it right here. Hold on. I have it right here.
Okay, so we can.
My reference point.
We can share it, but.
I can email this to Alp for communication.
I think I have it already. It's a brilliant note. Yeah.
I got another one. It's even better. He sent another one yesterday. So the way he's put it together is it's to our customers. Here's what's going on. Here's what's happening in our stores. Here's what's happening in your home. Literally, it's written like that. And here's the part about my employees. 3 paragraphs.
And they're all short and to the point. I have seen it.
Short and to the point. Here's what's happening in our store. Starting yesterday, all our stores are closed, but you can come pick things up at the curb. In your home, we can't go to your home and install anymore, but we will offer free doorstep delivery. And for employees, if you come in, great, you can help us with this. If you're not comfortable, stay home and we're still going to pay you. Boom, boom, done.
We can share it with in our communication as well. But I would say it's very much a future of work organization style because it's a very purpose-driven and employee experience-driven message. So I really loved it. So we can share it in the communication tool. So before we end, I think the last question is coming from a sales team. Fatih Karışmaz is asking, how should you do the right customer communication and engagement in such times?
I would go back to, this is a great example of what I've, this Best Buy person, but I think you have to acknowledge for everybody. You guys all familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yes.
Okay, right. We're in Maslow times, right? Safety, security, food, family. You have to go there first before you can say, oh, I want to go shopping. You have to think of those things, whether you're talking to your employees or your customers. I know this is rough for you. We're all going through it. Here's how we're trying to help you in these times, so that you're putting a spin on your communications. So normally during this time of year, it's spring madness, come buy a mattress. This is the time. If you got one of those right now, you'd be like, seriously? Who cares? Right? Because you're like, I'm in crisis mode. How are you helping me? Now, think how you can do it differently. You're home, it's stressful. Your sleep is really important to keep your immunity system in check. Maybe it's time to get a new mattress. We'll deliver it to you for free. Completely different message, same thing. I'm getting a new mattress from you. So
Okay.
think about how you put your communications together and keep that in mind.
So maybe that could also be a thing for, when Ezgi asked about marketing. So when it's a good sprint marketing and sales team can have together
Yes.
that they deliver the right message.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, okay, Karen, it's been really helpful, very useful. Thanks so much for taking this time and sharing your insights and expertise with us.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah. Do you have any final remarks you want to make? Any comments or anything you want to add?
I would say, first of all, thank you. Stay well. Do the best you can. Use your common sense. Pull on your employees. Put their needs and your customers' needs up front. Take care of yourself. And I wish you all the best of luck. And we will share information that hopefully will help you. And if we need to chat again, Alp,
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Karen. We are talking to people from all over the world. We had a meeting from an expert in Portugal and Poland. Now you, and it's something for the entire world. That's part of the future of work, and we are all in this together. We are also sending the best and the best wishes over there also to New York.
Thank you.
And yeah, take good care, and thanks so much again.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Herkese katılım için çok teşekkürler. Thanks everyone for joining in. We hope it has been useful. Okay, we are not under maintenance, but yeah. So we would like to, for tomorrow, we will have another session on why clarity is essential in remote work with Aras. And it's mostly focused on how to be more effective and productive at work and with virtual teams. And we will have Dorota. She's going to talk about trust, ownership, and accountability, and how do you empower teams through that for remote teams. And then we will have Krista, and she already joined us earlier this session. And we will talk about remote work rollout strategies. So thanks a lot for joining, and we are looking to meet all of you tomorrow. And yeah, please share it. The bigger and the more we know, the better. As we Pınar Yarar, she said today, she's together with 4C1H team, our partners for this event. She sent a note from Marie Curie. I will say it in English because she sent it in Turkish, because she sent it to me in Turkish. She said, hayatta hiçbir şey korkmayı gerektirmez. Şimdi daha fazla anlamalı ve böylece daha az korkmalıyız. So I think you translated Ümit Bey, but basically he says we don't need to be scared of anything, but we just have to understand better so that we fear less and we apply better. So that's what we are also trying to provide. Looking to see you all tomorrow. Thank you.